Morning, everyone. So here we go with me trying to pronounce the name of this king. We are reading ancient tales from ancient even, not ancient tales, although they are tales from ancient even Egypt. And this is the tale of King Rhampsinitus, Sinitis even. And this is about a king who reigned in Egypt long before King Khufu. And he was related by a priest to Herodotus, who was the Greek historian. So, the king, was called Rhampsinitus, and he built the western portion of the temple of Ptah. He erected two statues, one to summer, which faced the north and worshipped, and one to the winter, which faced the south, and that was never worshipped. The king possessed great wealth, and he caused to be constructed beside the palace a strong stone chamber in which he kept all of his wealth and riches. One of his builders, though, decided to place a stone in the chamber in such a way that it could be removed from the outside. It happened that after the king had put all of his treasure in the chamber, the builder took poorly one day, and he knew that he was going to die. He had two sons, and he told them about this secret regarding the stone, gave them the measurements so that they could go and find it. After the man died, the sons went forward at night and found the stone, and they removed it. They entered the chamber and carried away as much treasure as they could, closed up the wall, and snuck away into the night. The king wondered and marvelled when he discovered that all of his riches had been stolen away because the seals of the door had not been broken, and he did not know how the robbers had got in. Again and again he put money and all of his wealth into the chamber. Again and again the robbers came and stole it away. The treasures just kept getting less and less. At length the king caused traps to be laid in the chambers for his guards, who kept watch at the entrances, but they could not find out who was doing the mysterious robberies. Soon one day, though, the robbers returned. They removed the stone. One of them crept inside. He went towards the treasure, as they always did. Suddenly he was caught in a trap. In a moment he realized that escape was impossible, and he reflected that he would be put to death in the morning, and his brother would be seized and similarly punished. So he said to himself, well, at least I won't die alone. But then he thought, actually, I'm going to save my brother. I will take the blame. So he resolved to save his brother. He called to him in the dark, enter carefully. I am trapped. I cannot escape. Do not wait long, for you will be discovered. When they find me here, I will not be recognized. I will be recognized, and they may seize you and put you to death. They will cut off my head at once, so that they may not know who I am, and save your life. So, with a heavy heart, the brother did all of this. He cut off the head of his own brother and carried it away, escaping in the darkness, replacing the stone so that no man saw him. When morning came, the king was more astounded than ever to find a headless body trapped in the treasure chamber, for the door had not been opened, and yet 2 men had entered, but one had escaped. He commanded that the corpse should be hung on the palace wall and stationed the guards, at the palace, bidding them to keep strict watch so that might discover anyone came to pay sorrow for the dead man. But no man came. Meanwhile, the mother grieved in secret. Her heart was filled with anger because the body was exposed in such a manner, and she threatened to inform the king regarding all that had happened if her other son would not carry the body away. The young man attempted to say no and put her off, but she only repeated her threat and made that firmly. He therefore made preparations to get the body of the brother. He hired several donkeys, excuse me, and on their backs he put many skins of wine. In the evening he drove them towards the palace. When he got near to the guards who kept watch over his brother's body, he removed the stoppers of some of the skins. The wine ran forth upon the highway, and he began to cry aloud and beat his head as if he were in a real sorry distress with himself. The soldiers ran towards the donkeys and seized them and caught the wine in the vessels, claiming it for themselves. At first the brother pretended to be angry and told the men off, but when they calmed him down and they spoke to him pleasantly, he began to secure the stoppers on all of the bottles of wine. In a short time he was chatting with the guards and pretended to be amused. They laughed and joked with him over the accident. He invited them to have a drink with him, and they filled their flasks quite readily, and they began to drink, and the man poured out the wine until they were all quite drunk and merry. When they fell asleep, the cunning brother took down his brother's body, laid it on the back of one of the donkeys, went home, shaved the cheeks off the soldiers, or shaved their beards. His mother was very pleased on his return in the darkness. The king was very cross in the morning when he discovered how the robber had tricked the guards, and he was determined even more to have the robber taken. So he sent his daughter in disguise, and she waited for the criminal. She spoke to several men, and at length she found him, because he came to know that he was sought and desired to deal very cunningly with her. So he spoke to her, and she offered to be his bride if he told her the most artful thing he had done, and also the most wicked thing he had ever done. He answered, "Well, the most wicked thing I have ever done was I cut off my brother's head when he was caught in a trap in the royal treasure chamber. And the most artful thing I've ever done is I deceived the king's gods and carried away the body." The princess tried to seize him, but he thrust forth his brother's arm, which he carried under his robe, and when she clutched it, he made a speedy escape. Great was the astonishment of the king at the cunning and daring of the robber. He caused a proclamation to be made, offering him a free pardon and a generous reward if he would appear at the palace before him. The man went quite readily, and his majesty was so delighted with his speeches and great ingenuity that he gave him his daughter in marriage. There is no more artful people than the Egyptians, but this man had not his equal in the land. That's your story for today. That's very funny. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.